Here we are, 2 weeks from Thanksgiving break, and working on the last paper. You've almost reached the finish line. Don't give up. Don't stop working. I have purposely tried to outline the work for the next 2 weeks to help you see that you can do this paper little by little. So stay with me and do parts of this paper as we go. So for Tuesday, we're going to work on creating an outline of the background. On Thursday, we'll work on getting solutions and recommendations into the matrix. Next Tuesday, the 18th, we will work on the introduction and thesis statement for your outline using the matrix, and we'll be talking about reducing wordiness. And a week from Thursday, we'll work on putting the whole outline together so you can turn it in before you go on Thanksgiving break, and the paper should be really easy to write after you've done the outline when you come back from break. All right. So, you have hopefully finished your annotated bibliographies. And as you recall, here's the drop box. As you recall, the annotated bibliography is a way to show the solutions that you have discovered in your articles. So again, it starts with the typical APA style first page, title page, and then every entry begins with the citation and then one or two paragraphs explaining the solution that is found in that article. Again, remember, I am not looking for an AI-generated summary. I need you to be thinking about the solution that you found in this article. Remember, I'm not expecting you to read 27 pages. You know from our tutorial on reading a journal article that you go first to look at the abstract to make sure the article is about something that is relevant to your topic. Then you go to either the introduction or the discussion and conclusion. The discussion is where the author explains what the results mean, and the conclusion is generally where they talk about why this is important, and you need to know that as well. But for your annotated bibliography, I only want to know the solutions that this article is suggesting. So it may be a short paragraph. It should be at least 6 sentences, but it could be a short paragraph. I would urge you to try to include some direct quotations, because you can include those direct quotations in your final project. We're going to go back now to the work for week 13. We'll assume you've done your annotated bibliography. So you've read through the articles carefully and you've identified the solutions they're suggesting. In this paper, let me quickly go through. If you missed our session last Thursday, you may have missed the, oh my, I missed putting it out there. That's not good. Here, quickly, I'll put that up there, but let me show you the outline for the paper. And here it is. The outline for the whole paper, so you know where we're going with this. It's the problem solution paper directions. And for this purpose, here you can see the problem solution paper. You're going to compare and contrast two solutions for a problem in your career field. You are going to find appropriate resources from Fairmont State's library as well as your online resources. You're going to locate necessary information from scholarly articles. You're going to organize relative quotations and statistics from the library and online sources. You're going to set up a compare-contrast paper. You're going to reduce wordiness. You're going to practice parallel structure and identify and correct commonly confused words. Previously taught skills. We're going to reinforce the idea of the quotation sandwich, sentence level transitions, academic tone, reminding you that you are not to be using you, and you're to avoid cliches. And we're going to, again, remind you about proper sentence boundaries. No comma splices, run-ons, or sentence fragments. So, the assignments leading up to the problem solution paper. The annotated bibliography assignment, the synthesis matrix, and the outline. The outline for your paper needs to include these parts: an introduction that hooks the reader's interest, background on the problem, what is the problem, why is it a problem. So any data that you have about the problem will go into your paper. You are going to compare two solutions, so you're going to give data about each of the solutions, and then you're going to make recommendations or conclusions. You are going to recommend one of those two solutions as better than the others, and you're going to explain why you think it's better. And finally, you're going to list as references all of the sources that you examined to come up with this paper. So you are going to include the 3 online sources that you included in your research proposal, those 3 online sources. You are also going to include the 3 library sources. Again, you can have more than that, but you must have at least 3. And you're going to put the citations in proper APA format on the references page. So that's what goes into the paper. What I would like you to do, once you have in fact done your annotated bibliography, is I would like you to start working on a synthesis matrix, which is due this Sunday. And a synthesis matrix is explained in this article, Synthesis Matrix for Organizing Research. You can read that yourself. It gives a little bit more of an explanation of why we do this. And the template for your paper looks like this. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay, so I think next time I do this, I'm going to block out the introduction. We don't need to get sources for that. But first of all, background. What is the problem? Now, I list 4 sources there. You may well have 6 sources. 3 internet sources, 3 online sources, and 3 sources from the library. The annotated bibliography puts those sources, puts those significant quotations and facts and statistics in paragraph form. And that could be a help, possibly, for the quotation sandwiches you include in your final paper. However, I need to warn you that no AI can integrate the sources the way they must be integrated. You cannot just say in your paper, source 1 says this, source 2 says this, source 3 says this, source 4 says this. You cannot do that. That's what AI does. AI is not able to weave these ideas together, and you have to weave them together smoothly in a smooth and connected paper. And that is what AI cannot do. So I want you to line up the background information from your different sources. If you have 6 sources, then take off source 4 and make a separate chart. Again, a chart that looks like this, but with sources 4, 5, and 6. So you can see all of your sources, all of your quotations at a glance. On this template, I'm suggesting that you look for background information. What is the problem? Why is it a problem? From each of your sources. Then you're going to look up information on solution number 1. How do you know what solution number 1 is? It's a solution that's been mentioned in more than one source. One solution to this problem would be what? A second solution. There's always more than one possible solution to a problem. Sometimes the solution is don't do anything. But solution 3 might be something else. In fact, in my sample matrix, I have 4 solutions. Now, Dr. Schwer, you may be saying, you said we were to use only 2 solutions, and that's right. So these articles give maybe 3 or 4 solutions. Of those, you are going to pick the 2 that you think are most likely or most reasonable, or that your sources most approve. And you're going to put all of the quotations, facts, statistics, evidence for each of those solutions here in the matrix. But you need to see what that really looks like, because that's fairly complicated to understand. So we need to look actually at a template of this. Okay, so, I'm sorry, that's the template, never mind. Sample synthesis matrix. So again, my sample that I did is looking at the nursing shortage. And so the background of the problem, what is the problem? It's understaffing. So at the top, I put the title, either the title or the name of the author of each of these articles. Notice, I did not put in the entire citation. You could if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. I just need to know that you know which article this quotation came from. And I need a page number. Why? Because when I come to write the outline and the final paper, I am simply going to copy and paste the citations, the quotations that I use. I'm going to copy and paste them into the outline. And so that makes it really easy to see which quotations might be most appropriate. In doing this, so where did I get these quotations? I went down here to my folder for my folder for my articles, and I have saved my articles. You can see they're all PDFs, and I have gone through each article, and I have figured out how to highlight in each article. Do you know how to do that in your whatever PDF program you're using? You need to figure it out, because it's important that you be able to do that. I did not put in little comments by each quotation. I think you could easily do that, but for my purposes now, I just highlighted facts that seemed important to me. And now I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to put the things that have to do with my background section under each article where they belong. Okay, so what is the problem? This says poor working conditions such as understaffing is the problem. 2 major reasons for understaffing: poor workplace conditions, inadequate staffing models.